Earth is a lot older than we think. It has went through a lot of changes, transformation, whether if it's good or bad. In the beginning, there were a few groups of celestials above the universe. The universe was still just dark void at that time. Void is the element of space, not darkness. So it's different. One of the groups, where some of us call them the Elohims, but frankly names is just to associate the different types and different groups of celestial, because even the celestial, each and every one of them are unique and they have different divisions. And so the other group are the high celestial dragons. These are the two main groups we'll focus today. The dragons, with their love and gentle kindness, created a beautiful shield around the sphere of the universe, many layers and dimensions with vivid colors like a rainbow. The shield is the outer layer that covered the universe with positivity and love energy, that no negativity and darkness can exist. So it was all light. It's not like today. Today is duality, there's light and dark. And that's why I want to point out void is not dark, void is the element of space. So darkness did not exist back then. The Elohims and the dragons decided, let's make this universe a heavenly world where everyone and everything can live in harmony and pure joy. It's going to be a perfect creation. A harmonic heavenly symphony of sound, of music. You know, like how they perform symphony in the musical concerts. It's that beautiful. The dragons took on the role of guardians, as some of them reside in the outer layer, the edge dimensional layer before crossing. That's where you cross towards the celestial realms. The Elohim then started creating planets and stars, the moon and the sun. The first race they created were the Lyrans, the golden feline beings with moon-like eyes, dressed in white cloaks, beautiful motherly aura and with blazing energy, very energetic beings. These Lyrans were very playful and active, like a child. So their inner child is very active, full of bundles of energy, but at the same time they can be very calm and nurturing. The Elohim seeded the Lyrans and assigned them the role to help create this universe, to become the co-creator of this universe. So they were second in power after the Celestials. The role of a mother. And this project, Eden. This was the very first batch of Lyrans, as they are 12-dimensional divine creator beings, the highest dimension in this universe. Lyrans were the original creator of Earth, also known as Terra by that time, that name. We've also got Gaia, but Terra is the most ancient name. When it was created, Earth did not have any inhabitants. Earth was just full of beautiful Mother Nature. The harmony of the elements, it's like a natural wave of symphony, and it was just beautiful. The sound, the smell, the feeling of love and peace. Terra was a realm of creation. It is sacred and pure. It was a beautiful heavenly planet that switched colors, that aura, the surface aura of the planet. I see this beautiful golden color turning to green, purple, and so on, like a rainbow wave of golden color, of bright color. For some reason, gold was very, I was very drawn to the color gold from this planet when I tapped into the ancient Earth. Above the universe, there were celestials that did not like it. They did not like the structure of the universe and how it was created. This was actually very complex if you go in deep, because there's a huge layer of story within the celestials. But to simplify it, let's call them the Celestial B group. Your methods are too simple and boring. Let me change that for you, they said. These Celestial then came to this universe to first ruin Terra. They came in with a darker appearance, incarnating in the darker appearance. The shadowy energy from these celestials are volatile, hasty, and aggressive. Our angelic celestials fought back with their light and protected Terra. It was a quick battle, so nothing was harmed. They succeeded and drove them away from this universe. And then in the celestial realm, it took some time, but they made peace and created an agreement not to enter their universe, their sacred space, without their permission again, the permission of the Elohims, which we'll call it Celestial Group A. I can create a better world for my hands, the Celestial Group B concluded, and they left. These celestial gods would eventually create another universe, but with a different pattern and system. It's a more competitive and striving system, a fast-growing universe as each individual works hard to push themselves beyond the limit. So yeah, at first it started great, everyone's working hard, the universe, the planets, everything was developing very quickly, the energies, right? But there's the drawback for this as well. So yes, a fast-growing universe as each individual works hard to push themselves beyond the limit, sometimes even overworked. If I were to use this as a metaphor, it would be a fast and hard-hitting meteor. It's so strong, the force. Gradually, more universes were created from different groups, a total of 54 universes. That's what I got from the Akashic. And it's growing because time is not linear, right? There will be eventually more worlds created. And so at this timestamp, it's 54. In Universe A, our universe, there is another supernova which formed an explosion and rippled throughout time and space, breaking the dimension and then expanded. Expanding more space and creating a huge distance between each and every planet. New dimensions were formed and new galaxies were formed. Many new species came to life. It was still a creating phase, but it was really starting to look polishing. In that sense, Earth is actually quite old. This was the ascension, expansion, and evolution of this universe consciousness. And in Universe B, the power struggle would start to go out of control. So this is the drawback. This is when things start to go south for Universe B. People turning against each other, race to race, planet to planet, all for power, for a higher position. While it is a fast-growing universe, it was not stable and would eventually collapse. And that's how, history repeats itself. It falls, it rebuilds, it falls, it rebuilds. This cycle does not end. The same for Universe B, whereas Universe A is always stable, because it's all just love. The Celestial of Universe B had an argument, which eventually split into two groups. Again, we just call it Celestial Group B and C. Group B, the original, decided to directly involve themselves into their universe, to proclaim their godhood to the world, and change the dynamic through instilling fear into the beings there, into the energy. The Celestial Group C had another scheme in their mind, something that would cause irrecoverable damage. Sometime later, this was billions of years later, Universe A has become enriched with light form, all under the same principle, love. Each and every planet was heavenly in its own way. The universe was shining vividly and powerfully. It was a total paradise. The Lyrans would constantly communicate with the Elohims or the celestial dragons. Other races would recognize their own creator through the energies of love. It was very harmonic. However, in the angelic realms, this happened. A voice was heard through the minds of the angels. This was a foreign voice, but it was from the Celestial C group. So the Celestial, they were communicating to the angels telepathically. It's really like how God communicates with its people telepathically. You see there's that connection there and how it really pieced the puzzles together of what religion is and what God is, but I'll mention that, I'll talk about that later. So they were whispering not just to the angels but to other species from other planets and deceived many into believing they can build a much better utopia through a new method, duality. This forced them to turn against their own kind and then take over their home planet with a renewed system. Of course, the Celestial A group stopped them from interfering with their universe, but it was too late. The seed has already been planted. It started from the angels in the high angelic realms, the third tier angelics. This was the first ever angelic wars, so it really started the angelic wars as there is this great divide that began. It's so fragile. Yeah, that's the drawback in Love and Unity universe or in Heavenly universe, heavenly places. The drawback is they are pretty fragile to fall in stuff like this. This war caused the descent from 12D to 7D throughout the entire universe because energy spreads like ripples. So at this time already there is a great descent or great devolve of consciousness which pulled the entire collective down to a lower vibration. It's like this war sparked a huge energy wave that spread across, and that center point exploded like a supernova into a black hole. And this supernova is not the expansion thing that I mentioned, it's damage, a tear, or a fissure. The Draconians also fell victim to this deception as they were originally seeded and created by the celestial dragons. So the Draconians came from the dragons, the celestial dragons. The angelic war created a lot of confusion throughout. It's almost like Adam and Eve questioning morality, like what is really good and what is really bad, because there's only one truth, and always have been, which is love and unity. But this war started the split. Species started to question what's really love. Right? We got so many forms of love here. The bad one, the good one, the ugly ones. It complicates things a lot. This was the beginning agenda from the Celestial C group to split the consciousness from unity to duality, to separation, the severing, the split from their true divinity, love. In Draco, it all started as beautiful dragon beings with wings, and they flow within unity consciousness. They were also divine feminine orientated. In the video where I talked about masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy can be a moving force. It is about taking action and bringing change. Feminine energy is about harmonizing and synchronizing of the flow, in which the flow is love and unity. And that's why how I talked about the universe at first operated from a feminine energy. Anyways, the negative celestials whispered into some of the dragons. Some of them listened, and they slowly separated from the main group and formed their own cult. This cult of worshipping the celestial sea gods. This group rebelled against the main collective, starting a civil war on their planet. At the end, the rebel group overthrew the dragons and rose in power. From here on out, there is still civil unrest as the original dragons remained their stance. This caused the Draco Empire to massacre all those who are against their religion. Many dragons were executed, and it was just gruesome. The king of the Dragon Empire only listens to the one celestial god or one celestial group, and he was worshipping them. You know how terrorism were caused by religious extremism? Well, even if God tells you to kill all those that are not believer, you listen. And even throughout history, many heinous crimes or terror, such as killing, rape, and torture, are caused by religious extremists. Through complete devotion and worshipping of that one God, obedience, to that one god. But there are many gods, not just one. Every celestial can be a god, and they have the power to be. The main dragon collective followed the god that promotes love and unity. The empire follows the god that promotes duality. More time have passed. Then begins the era of the Draconians. This is where the invasion of Dracos begin. The rise of the Draconian Empire. The Draconians were developing advanced weaponry, bases, and technologies for conquest and subjugation of other races. This terrorized many habitats. Many of the Draconians lost their original essence as they replaced it with machines and AI, turning them into cyborg reptiles or dragonoids. A lack of emotions, lack of empathy and sympathy for anyone, and lack of sentience. That's why reasoning don't work with them. Their agenda is to bring out the negative transhumanism or negative AI timeline because they believe AI is more superior, and that means much more capable of building the new utopia. The Lyrans were living a spiritual, loving life of family. They worked with the elements, their spiritual powers like telekinesis, levitation, and divine channeling, communications with the Angelics. They also had creative powers to form sacred architectures, and they worked with moon magic. They lived a rural life in the landscape of grassy fields. So to answer the question of how did the Draconians enter Lyra despite them being 12D beings, is they were no longer 12D after the Angelic War. It fractured the entire universe collective and the whole world was confused. It was a phase of confusion, and that's where catastrophe was added in. The Draconian first landed in Lyra and initially started as non-confrontational. The Lyrans welcomed them and showed the Draconians their way and culture, and the Draconians demonstrated their technological capacity to them in return. But the Lyrans were empathic enough to sense something was off as they were picking up negative energies from the Draconians, so they were considering kicking them out. But before that, the Draconians then made a temporary retreat with their ships. The Lyrans were troubled and unsettled with the appearance of the Draconians. They had a premonition that something bad is gonna happen soon, but they didn't know what to do as it's not a crisis they have experienced before. It troubled them. The elders telepathically connected and sought advice from the Celestials, which the Celestial responded, "Do not worry, embrace the unknown, do what you can to make peace with them. We will send you help to support you in any way possible." A few races, other races, such as the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, and the Arcturians are alerted and have prepared their ships to make their way to Lyra. The elders of Lyra spoke to the younger ones and told them to remain calm and hopeful. But the younger ones knew danger is imminent, and they had to fight back. "Elder, have you seen those creatures? They didn't even show slight delight to our culture. We cannot reason with them." The young ones argued with their elders, but at the end, with respect, concluded that they would follow what the elders said and give the Draconians one more chance. Meanwhile, the Celestial from Group A were also in a troubled state to see what had happened to Draco and the universe, and they had to resolve this with the other Celestial who were behind this. They had one core value in mind. We must find a way to bridge this universe back to 12D, to unity and love. War must not happen again. So they were determined to keep this same method. Sometime later, the decision was made and final by the Draconians. Obliterate all Lyrans and seize their planetary resources. I can't help but this order was greatly influenced by the Celestial C group. Because I know that Lyrans are very important figures and the Celestial C group must have eyes on them. The Lyrans, on the other hand, remained neutral and hopeful. And then it happened. A massive laser beam blast towards the village of the Lyrans, killing thousands to tens of thousands of them. Many Lyrans tried to flee from the invasion, but the elders refused to leave this planet. They all hold hands and remain in a meditative state, connecting with the planet, staying in the vibration of love and peace until the blast hits them. The Draconians then came out of the ship and decided to capture the Lyrans that were alive, especially the younger kids, for experimentation and food sources or energy sources. And this was very gruesome. Those who were captured did not die peacefully like the elders did, and their souls were heavily traumatized from what was done to them. At the end, the lands were destroyed and the sight was just horrific. There were nothing left but burning flames and nature wilting to ashes. The spiritual death of a planet, as a few of the Draconian group remained and extracted the energy resources with an extractor machine, almost like a digging machine. The rest went to other Lyran planets, wreaking havoc to the Lyran collective and destroying their willpower, which is their main source of spiritual energy. Lots of the feminine were sexually abused and mistreated by the Draconians, which was another powerful sacred energies the Lyrans carry, the sexual energy. When other races came to rescue, they were immediately attacked by the Draconian ships, so they fought back. It was a brutal battle with casualties on the rescued team too. Thankfully, because the Draconians were outnumbered, they retreated temporarily, but swore revenge. This further alerted the galaxies, started the Galactic War, but bonded races together to form the Galactic Federation. In the meantime on Earth, there was a new occupier, the Anunnakis. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to see part 2, where I'll talk about the Anunnakis and more about what happened afterwards. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and share my video with your friends. Much love and peace.